Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video where we will see together the mystery of the famous forest of Mount Mabu. In 2005, when it was thought that every region of the world had been explored or known to man, a group of researchers will make a discovery that will shake the world. Using a famous technology that we all know, called Google Earth, they will discover a strange area. Basically, they simply sought to delimit a natural area that we already know in order to study it later. But during their research, they will find a strange green spot. He'll get their attention. They will discover more than 80 kilometers too. This dance was unknown at first. Scientists will not believe their eyes, and they will remain quite skeptical, because for them it was impossible for a forest to be still unknown at the present time. According to their research, this forest would indeed be virgin of any exploration, and there would be no writing or research that would have been done in this area. And the strangest thing is that this forest is huge and green while all around the area has been deforested. This forest would be located on Mount Mabu, a secluded region that is very difficult to access. This forest would not be very well known by the locals, and most report strange stories in this forest. The researchers who discovered the forest will then lead an expedition and try to discover the secrets that the forest could soon contain. Researchers will make incredible discoveries. The forest is full of dozens of animal and plant species that we do not know at all, and therefore no one has ever heard of, be it varieties of orchids, birds, and varieties of asperis. Still species of butterflies that we have never observed in the rest of the world. This discovery will be a real goldmine, and even today, this event will be considered unique in various fields. Subsequently, many other researchers will be taken on expeditions and explore this forest in order to identify the various animal and plant species that may be hiding inside. And according to these researchers, this forest may still be hiding many other species or many other secrets, but it will be a little while before they know how this forest has been able to go unnoticed for all this time, and how so many unknown species can be found in one place. In the same theme of incredible discoveries or rediscoveries more recently, there are 7,000 Japanese islands, which supposedly were incorrectly identified in the 2000s, and which would have been rediscovered in 2023. However, currently there is not much information about these islands, and maybe we will also discover very mysterious things. So if you want me to do a little episode on these 7,000, do not hesitate to let me know in the comments. The story begins in 1940, when the priest Mathieu Chastelin is walking in his garden. Except that at some point the ground will suddenly give way under his feet. He will then fall into a strange cave and find strange crops carved into the rock. At the time, this discovery had to frighten all the people of the village, and they will see it as a great danger. The priest will then immediately order to fill the entire cellar, and we will hear more about it until 1950. In 1950, there are children who are playing in this garden. They will stumble upon an entrance that led to this cave, but this time, the discovery will be considered incredible, and the scientific and archaeological community will mobilize and will carry out numerous excavations in order to resurface the entirety of the faces. In total, they will manage to list more than 300 unsightly creatures carved directly into the rock walls. And it is many specialists who will then look at this mysterious creature to try to discover their mystery. Several hypotheses will then be put forward. For some, it could be simple pagan works, but for others, it could be a place of worship or even a place of sacrifice where strange rituals took place. However, very few of these assumptions are convincing. They will try to date these works to try to better understand when they were made. And thanks to the different representations on the wall, they will be able to determine that the sculptures could date from the 16th century. On the other hand, he specifies that this is only a hypothesis and that they cannot yet affirm anything. During the excavations, they will also find many clues, such as a ram that would represent the builders or different faces that would represent ancient Indian tribes. But once again, they will not find any signatures or signs to allow them to precisely define the origin of these works. As a result of all the studies that were conducted on this site, they were able to determine that there were several different sites and that potentially there would be different artists who would have worked on these sculptures. The most likely hypothesis would therefore be, it is a place where a master taught his disciples to carve in the rock, and this in the greatest secrecy. But no one will succeed in defining who this person could be, because too many elements are missing. In addition, the works would present political or religious satire and would be a kind of protest art, which would explain that all these works would have been hidden because they would have disturbed enormously at the time. Today, the world is still waiting for new excavations to perhaps discover new secrets and finally lift the veil on this mystery. Several scientists have managed to determine areas on Earth where longevity and health are better. These areas are known as the blue zones. The blue zones are the areas where one can find the largest number of healthy centenarians, whether in Sardinia, Peru, or even in a lost valley in the region of Afghanistan. The life expectancy of these centenarians would be around 120 or 130 years. Today, we will project ourselves on the blue zone of Okinawa in Japan. This archipelago is one of the most famous blue zones in the world. Many of you surely know it for these incredible landscapes, and maybe you know less the fact that it is nicknamed the land of the immortals. On this archipelago, we can find a density of centenarians much higher than on the rest of the world. There are more than 800 centenarians, 400 of whom have already passed 150. There are about 6 times as many centenarians as in the United States, 3 times as many as in France, and on average 4 times as many as in the rest of the world. And even if this gap already seems incomprehensible, the most incredible thing is that these centenarians are also healthier. They get sick less often. They continue to be physically active for longer than other centenarians in other regions. Some of them claim to have never been sick or even been to the hospital. Most of them have not worn glasses, canes, or hearing aids for more than 30 years. Many scientists will then look at their subjects and try to unravel the mystery of these centenarians. They study their health status, diet, and life course. And the results are hardly believable. These individuals would develop 3 times less dementia, 10 times less cardiovascular problems, and up to 5 times less cancer compared to other centenarians in the rest of the world. They would also develop fewer diseases and have a survival rate twice as high from all diseases compared to other centenarians. Specialists who have studied the subject have made several hypotheses. First of all, they realized that they eat very little salt, very little sugar, and that their diet was also very low in calories. But yet they claim that it is not food that could explain this phenomenon. How do you explain this incredible longevity? Is it related to a specific climate? Is it just the food and water they eat, or their philosophy? At least in Okinawa, and as in the rest of the world where there are blue zones, only time will allow us to answer all these questions to succeed in determining how to extend our duration on Earth. That's the conclusion of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave comments with any topics you'd like me to cover in future videos. Meanwhile, explore other episodes on myths and legends. Like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next episode. This was Click on Flyer.